Recognize Mr. Magaziner from Rhode Island.
Thank you, Chairman. And if you'll indulge me, this is my first time speaking on this committee, so I'm going to just speak for a moment at a high level. My hope is that this committee will work together on a bipartisan basis to enact smart policies to protect Americans against anyone who would do us harm, including by improving our security at our borders and points of entry. Everyone on this committee is going to have a decision to make, whether we are going to work together to get things done, or if we're here for partisan grandstanding. This committee, as I understand it, has a reputation for being one of the more bipartisan committees in Congress historically, where members do work across the aisle in the interest of protecting the safety of the American people, and I hope that that'll continue. That's one of the reasons that I chose to join this committee as a freshman. It's disappointing to me that already I hear not all, not most, but a few members using their time to take shots at the other side or the president or other political figures instead of having a productive conversation about solutions, and I hope that will not be the tone going forward. Because there are plenty of things that we can do to improve safety and security at the border that I think we can all agree on. We should all agree on securing the border and ports of entry by improving technology, by making sure there are adequate resources available, by finding ways to collaborate across agencies and with friendly nations to crack down on human trafficking, drug smuggling, and cartel activity, making the asylum process more efficient so that those who are doing the right thing and looking to do the process the right way don't run into a wall of unnecessary red tape and delays, and addressing the root causes of migration that are causing the vast majority of people to come here. We also have a real and pressing crisis with the opioid epidemic, and particularly fentanyl, that is ravaging our country, and we should attack that problem where it exists. I'm glad that there's been discussion today about the fact that over the last couple years, more than 90% of fentanyl seizures have occurred at legal ports of entry, with American citizens, unfortunately, making up more than 80% of those apprehended. I don't say that to point fingers at anyone. I just say that to make sure that we focus our time and attention on where the problems are most severe so that we can save the most lives. So we need to do everything that we can to ensure that we stop fentanyl and other drug trafficking by employing the technology and the manpower where it's needed the most. And at the same time, we can't lose sight of the fact that the vast majority of migrants who are coming here seeking entry to the United States at the southern border are doing so because they are fleeing violence and persecution. These are human beings who are running away from something in the vast majority of cases, and they deserve to be treated with humanity and respect. Those are our national values. So I hope as a committee we will endeavor to work together in a sober way to address these and the other challenges that our homeland faces. I hope that going forward we will not lose sight of the fact that the intelligence community has been clear that domestic extremism is one of our other most serious threats. Over the last 3 years, 80 Americans have been killed by violence motivated by domestic extremism, with white supremacy and anti-government extremism being among the most common motivating factors. That we need to redouble our efforts to strengthen our infrastructure and our cybersecurity. We just saw in the last few weeks reports of Vladimir Putin's regime attempting to shut down the electric grids and LNG facilities through cyber attacks in this country in the wake of the invasion of Ukraine a year ago. That is a sobering reminder of how much damage can be done to our country if we let our guard down. So this work is important. We owe it to the American people to focus on all of the threats to the homeland, including those at the southern border. And I look forward to working with my colleagues to do just that. Just expanding on the fentanyl crisis, Dr. Beyer, I would ask you once again, in your judgment, where is the biggest source of the problem from a homeland security point of view, and what can we do as a committee on a bipartisan basis to stop the flow of these deadly substances into our country?
Well, the heart of the problem is at the ports of entry, and we know this from a lot of different lines of evidence. First of all, we have a very large sample size of people who've been interdicted crossing illegally, and those people are bringing hardly anything fentanyl-wise into the country. The other thing to look at is it's not that Border Patrol cannot interdict drug traffickers. For example, marijuana, 75% of marijuana arrests or seizures occur between ports of entry. And that's because the drug is too bulky in most cases to bring it through the ports. DEA's own investigations have found that it comes through ports of entry. They testified the vast majority come through legal ports of entry. And we also know because the cartels themselves are telling us this because they're warring over control of the ports of entry. They would not be fighting a war over the control of a port of entry if it was not the most valuable place for drugs to enter the country.